Hey guys, welcome back to another edition of the Artist Showcase Series here on Pacific Northwest Radio, our home internet radio station. Thanks so much for tuning in. Before I get going, I just want to give a big old shout out to Breakout West 2018. They're supporters of us and we're supporters of them. So let's get going. We've got a guy in today. He fuses roots, rock, and pop. He's an exceptional singer-songwriter and storyteller. His latest album is out now. It's entitled Love Verses. So please welcome Canadian singer-songwriter and artist Leeroy Stagger. How you doing, buddy?
Good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good. So what's been going on lately with you?
Oh, God. I've been pretty much on the road for the last year and a half. Since our record came out in April of last year, and actually before that even. So I've been just mostly touring, but last week we were in the studio making a new record, and this week I'm on vacation, which is pretty rare.
Wow, time off.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Well, you were on True North Records.
That's right.
For those who want to look and find Leeroy's awesome stuff. Well, that's great. And also, quick congratulations on your Breakout West Recording of the Year nomination. That's completely awesome, man.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, you should be.
To see how that all shakes down.
I'm sure it'll shake down just great. Well, let's get into your first song. It's called "I Want It All." Do you want to give us a little quick description on what that song is all about, maybe?
Sure, yeah, that one is about being grateful for the things that you have versus being always wanting something that you don't have.
Oh, excellent. Wow, we have thinking man's music. I love that. Well, that's great. Yeah. Okay. Well, folks, here's Leeroy Stagger's tune, "I Want It All."
Couple books, get off of your goddamn phone. 'Cause there's so much beauty in people today. You're never gonna see it if you're in the way. And if the singer had something decent to say, well, we might just make it through. 'Cause I want it all, I want a dream. Don't wanna live my life in the in-between. Break on through and give them something to feel. Get them dancing in the streets. That make the rules. Now we won't be Trump, don't you play us for fools. We'll break the system that you turned into. We'll take it back again. I got a couple of kids and a beautiful wife, a few guitars, it's a pretty good life. Out into the world, love and strife. I'll smile and be happy.
That was awesome, man. Excellent. Thanks so much for sharing that with us.
Thanks, Sam.
No problem. So I wanted to ask you, the second song we're going to play is the title of your last release, Love Verses. But what I wanted to ask you right away before we get into that song is what that title means to you. I know what it means to me because, you know, it's love versus in a sense of, you know, us against them, me against you. It's not necessarily. Yeah. So tell us what you were thinking when you came up with that title.
Essentially, I think when I put that record I played that record as a whole after I'd recorded it and realized what it was and realized what the theme of the record was. It was this idea of asking ourselves if love was enough to save us. And I decided to kind of put that question to task on the subsequent tour. And playing those songs every night really brought out a whole new meaning when I'd hear people's stories. And a lot of people opened up after I, started talking candidly about dealing with depression and also dealing with trauma and just all these things that happen to most of us. So a lot of people kind of opened up, and I would hear these stories from people all over the world of their struggles, and those songs actually kind of brought new meaning to themselves throughout the tour. And that song specifically is a song I guess I wrote. I'm just kind of asking questions to whatever higher power exists or doesn't exist. I mean, that's kind of up to the listener to decide where they want to take it. But I remember specifically my friends coming back from Palestine and telling me about their what they saw there and the struggles that were going on with those folks there. And I remember singing that song that night, and it just felt like that I was singing exactly about that, about those, the struggles that those folks are going through. And I thought, well, this is really interesting how these songs can shape meaning throughout their lifespan.
That's awesome. That's well, you know what? That might be best answer of the year, man. I love that. That's fantastic. Yeah, I mean, I myself love stuff musically that's a little more deeper than just, going for a drink. Though going for a drink is good. There's nothing wrong with that. But you know what? Let's get into Leeroy Stagger's. Let's do that one right now. Let's do Love Verses right now. So we're going to do the title track off of his record, Love Verses. And here it is.
Love versus hate. 'Cause lately when I think about us, I don't feel so great. Why's he always trying to block out the sun? When the barbs come out, I come undone. What's he ever really done to help us? Besides to criticize the way we love. What's he ever really done to help us? What's he ever really done? What's he ever really done? Baby, you know I got this head full of blues, running around in circles in my heart. One day we will kick 'em off and only feel the sun. Till then we're 1,000 miles apart. What's he ever really done to help us? We try to feed our friends, he put a bullet in our back. Try to build a home to house us. He tears it down again. He tears it down again. He tears it down and down and down and down and down. Baby, you know I got this head full of blues, running around in circles in my heart. One day we will kick 'em off and only feel the sun. Till then we're 1,000 miles apart. too civilized to be lumped in with this shit? Why's it always gotta be the guns? Why you always gotta be the ones? Why you always gotta criticize what you don't understand? Babe, you know I got this head full of blue, running around in circles in my heart. One day we will kick 'em off and only feel the sun. Till then we're 1,000 miles apart. Baby, you know I got this head full of blue, running around in circles in my heart. One day we will kick 'em off and only feel the sun. Till then we're 1,000 miles apart.
Wow, that was a great song, man. Love that.
Thanks. It's also worth noting that the video for that song is pretty spectacular. Again, talking about shape shifting meanings of songs. The video was directed and produced in Mexico, and it tells the story of. I don't want to give too much away. I think listeners should go out and go on YouTube and find the video for Love Verses. But again, it just that story that it entails in that video is a young girl's struggle trying to cross the border into the United States from Mexico. And it just again, it fits that the storyline of that song fits that as well.
Yeah, it's a great video. I watched it a whole pack of times, plus your other ones too on your site. So yeah, you really
cool.
you go into really cool subjects, and the imagery in the videos and stuff is is just a little more than possibly others. I mean, it's just you do you do things with I don't want to say more meaning than other people, because like I said, drinking songs to some people that is meaningful to them, but you take it into more of a spiritual kind of, I don't know, higher power level.
Sure. I mean, a couple years ago, I kind of hit a wall in my career, and I decided that the only purpose for me to do this is to try and inspire people to make the world a better place or an easier place for people to live in. And because it got really redundant for me. I had spent the first decade of my career where it was all about me.
Right.
And I just got, I realized that that's not, I wasn't gaining anything out of that mentality. And as soon as I, went on a journey to try and give back and to help other people heal from whatever they're going through, is kind of when my career actually started to take off. So I realized that, well, I think this is probably the right path to be going down anyway, and it just feels so much better. It gives so much more meaning every time I go out on the road and I'm away from my family. It just makes it so much more worth it,
Isn't it funny that, touching on what you just said, kind of like the more you give, the more you get? I mean, as long as you're not purposely giving to get, you do get.
Sure.
You do get.
Yeah, no, I mean, in some respects, I think that's a pretty great observation.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Let's talk about your next song, "Enemy Inside." Give us a little rundown on that guy.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, me and Mike Dell wrote a tune a few years back. I'm trying to think of it. What was called? Oh, it's called "Hello Goodbye." And when I brought that song to the producer of Colin Stewart of the record, he said, he's like, "I like the melodic structure of this tune, but the words are no good. You need to rewrite it." So I kind of took some of the intent of my half of that tune, of what I had written it with Mike Adele, and I kind of retraced it. And I kind of actually went back into the emotional mine, I guess, of a past relationship for that tune, and kind of tried to curate some of that those old feelings into the message of that tune. And it's a pretty suffering from heartbreak is obviously a pretty universal theme.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and I mean, I hadn't kind of thought about that relationship for a long time, and when it came time to rewrite that song, it all kind of came flooding back.
I see. That's awesome. All right, folks. Well, let's get into Leeroy's song, Enemy Inside. Wow, that was a great song, man.
Thanks. I should also say, as much as that's a relationship song, it's kind of a song about that voice in your head, kind of telling you that you're not good enough or anything like that. It's kind of about kind of just extinguishing that voice.
Oh, I feel that. And there's a lot of things you've talked about, too, that I discovered in the last few years that I had to fix for myself that are quite parallel with what you're going with in your observations on, your songs and what they're about. Let's talk quickly about the writing process. I don't know. Do you do some co-writing and you write a bunch on your own? How does this work out?
Yeah, I don't do a ton of co-writing. I'll maybe co-write one or two things on an album cycle. And I don't know why that is, but I think it's mostly just, I have a kind of a weird, process. And usually these days, I'm chasing kids around when I'm home off tour.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of collecting these stories while I'm away. And then I'll usually hunker down a couple times a year and see what comes up. So I had the honor of being in Banff for 3 weeks in the springtime, the last spring, and for the singer-songwriter residency. So I basically holed up in a cabin for 3 weeks writing, and it was a really intense 3 weeks. I hadn't really experienced a lot like that, to be honest with you. And it was quite an emotional roller coaster, going through these feelings of there's a lot of great people there. So I don't want to say I was, alone, but there was a lot of time where I would spend, 6 to 8 hours in this little hut by myself, feeling all these intense emotions of, missing my family, kind of wondering why I was doing this. I was having these weird nightmares at night.
Wow.
And we were also with a group of Indigenous storytellers at the same time. And so kind of hearing their stories, and the Banff Center is a pretty spiritual place built on the hillside of Sleeping Buffalo Mountain, which is a very sacred space for a lot of the different tribes around there
in Alberta.
So I was writing about that, and I was writing about where my marriage was at that point in time, and I got about 13 songs in 3 weeks, which
that's good.
Is it is. It's quite good. But I realized, that's my job. That's what I've been doing for the last 15 years. So it's not like I don't know how to write songs, but to me, it's whether or not there's some substance in there. And it was just a really fertile time for me there. It was like really raw and really emotional. And I had already kind of come in there with 10 songs already.
Right.
So this record that we just recorded was the first time that I had a lot of really good material to work on when I got into the studio. And I think the first session we cut 17 songs. And I knew, I felt already like, okay, I can see the record in there already. And everything's really good, but there's, 10 really, really, really good songs to choose from, which I've never had that luxury before.
Very nice.
So I just, I write songs. That's my job, and that's what I do for a living. So, I mean, my job is, I guess, the songwriting is kind of the easy part. It's the idea gathering that is kind of the work, to remember certain things or to constantly be writing down lines or ideas that you come across on a daily basis. I don't sit there and just make something up out of thin air. It's usually something that I've seen or experienced.
That's interesting you say that because, Sheldon and I do this show, and we've done quite a few of them, and, it's generally people like yourself, singer-songwriters or people in bands, and a lot of them actually had the opposite kind of situation go on where the ideas came, it was just finishing the songs was the problem.
Yeah, I mean, that's not always easy, and, and that's usually when I'll bring in a producer, and usually the producers that I like to work with are songwriters themselves, so that they can restructure things suggest chord changes, or, substitutions. And I just worked with Brad Barr, the Barr Brothers in Montreal, and he was super great at that. And he didn't mess with too much, but he just made these subtle changes that just really elevated the stuff. And it's like, as a producer, I do the same with other artists, but it's so hard to like see the forest through the trees on your own material. And that's why I tend to not, produce my own stuff, but out of a matter of necessity on this, I kind of co-produced the majority of the stuff that we just cut. So it's been kind of fun, interesting.
Yeah, and it's good to have a trusting other ear around, somebody that you can, you got faith in that isn't going to take you down a negative path or something. So that's great.
Pacific Northwest Radio is a proud sponsor of Breakout West, October 10 to 14. Join over 50 bands in 10 venues in downtown Kelowna. Kick off Breakout West with a rock show featuring local Kelowna favorites The Wild, Little Destroyer, and Like a Motorcycle. Then get your festival wristband for only $15 and keep the weekend live music going with 3 nights of music with over 50 bands in over 10 venues across downtown Kelowna. Tickets for both the kickoff concert and festival wristbands are on sale now. 200 plus Canadian and international industry are coming expressly to do business with Western Canadian artists. And don't forget the Western Canadian Music Awards, where artists and industry will be presented with their 2018 award for their categories. Breakout West is the place for music discovery in all genres. Find your next favorite artist here. Download the Breakout West 2018 app for all details and to plan your Breakout West week. For more information about the festival, go to breakoutwest.ca. See you there, music lovers.
Your next song that we're going to play is Crooked Old World. Why don't you give us a little quick descript on that guy?
Sure. I mean, I think, it's just a bit of an observation on the state of the world right now, and just kind of more or less like throwing caution to the wind a little bit, and forging on through it all. And I should mention that Joel Plaskett sings and plays guitar on this tune, and that was really a real treat for me, because I've been such a big fan of Joel since I started getting into music, and to hear his voice with mine was really, really cool.
That's great. That's an honor. Fantastic. All right, folks, here is Leeroy Stagger's song, Crooked Old World.
I'm your mountain, call me a son, and I'll learn to forgive all the damage you've done. But you spit when you speak of the money I've won. You can call me a mountain, call me a son. Go poison your blood, lay for the voice in my head, it is now fast asleep, selling souls at the strip mall. You can get them for cheap. Go poison your blood, lay the sheep. It's a crooked old world, it's a crooked old world. Go smoke you a smoke, go find you a girl, for the ship that we built is about to set sail. Give them hell, let the northern winds wail. Call me a bastard, say I'm unclean, but it will not undo all the love that I've seen. Just another folk singer without any scene. You can call me a bastard and say I'm unclean. Well, I was worried about dying, so I called up a friend. You know we all gotta go, but it don't fear the end. thinking about dying, so you called up a friend. It's a crooked old world, it's a crooked old world. Go smoke, you smoke, go find you a girl. For the ship that we built is about to set sail. Give 'em hell, let the northern winds wail. There are things in the past that you learn to let go. There are new things to come, there are seeds to let grow. There's truth in the details of the knowledge you know. There are things in the past that you learn to let go. It's a crooked old world, it's a crooked old world. Go smoke, you smoke, go find you a girl. For the ship that we built is about to set sail. Give 'em hell, let the northern winds wail. Give 'em hell, let the northern winds wail. Give 'em hell, let the northern winds wail. Let 'em wail. Let 'em wail.
That was great, man. Thanks for sharing that one.
Thank you.
No problem. So I wanted to ask you a quick question. We don't need to get into it too deeply. I'm interested these days on asking the artists I speak to about how they feel about the state of the music industry right now. I mean, you have support with True North Records. That's probably somewhat helpful, at least. A lot of indie people don't have that. But I mean, here's something that I was thinking yesterday when I was writing out questions. It was sort of like the fine line between juggling the love of the art and then the commerce. I mean, how does that work out for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. God, I try not to think about it too much, to be honest with you.
There you go.
I never really have, because I've always just had faith in the process. If you do good work, then eventually it will catch on, you know. But you know, as Sheldon can attest, we made a record together ages ago, over over a decade now, and you know, it was poised to do really well, and it was a critically acclaimed record, but it just kind of flopped because of where the business was at the time.
Right.
And I always kind of thought that you had one chance in this business, and I don't think that's the case, because I've had a couple of really great resurgences in my career, and especially right now. But I think, I don't know, it's like the commerce part of it is important, because I have to make a living, and I've got a family to support and a mortgage to pay. But I've always just kind of put my faith into the work first and foremost, you know, and it's never done me wrong. I mean, I'm also the kind of person that can adapt to a lot of different changes. And I've always tried to be as dynamic as I possibly can in the music business. So I produce other people's records. I'm a studio owner. You know, my publishing has been a big godsend in my career. That's bringing in money. And I also have fans that pay money for albums.
For sure,
you know what I mean?
Yep.
I was speaking to Brad Barr about this the other day, and they've sold they sell a lot more records than I do. But we were speaking, about, they were on tour with the War on Drugs.
Right.
And that's the biggest indie rock band in the world right now.
Absolutely,
so
yep.
I'm thinking, well, that must have been amazing for album sales. And he said, well, there's nights where we almost didn't sell any records. And I thought, that's so strange. And then I started to realize the kind of people that the age demographic of that are going to the shows is quite a bit younger. And I've been really, really lucky to have kind of a diverse fan base from early 20s to in the 60s and 70s, and that they have always bought my album. So in some ways, yes, I sell less albums. That's actually not true. I've never sold as many albums as I'm selling now. But
Right.
I imagine that if I was kind of at this point in my career 15 years ago, I'd probably be selling even more.
Right.
So I don't know. It's kind of this weird thing of like, well, to be honest, I don't know if I could do it much longer without a great label like True North. They've been incredible to me. They've been absolutely incredible. And in order, they've made a lot of my recording kind of dreams come true.
Yeah, for sure.
And if I was to do it independently again, I don't know how much energy I would have to do it. So, I'm really, really lucky, I guess, at this point.
Well, it's a testament to you and your skills then. I mean, let's just get real. I mean, it doesn't matter what record label it is, whether they're a smaller one or a bigger one. They all have to pay their bills too. So they're not going to bring in people that aren't going to do that for them. So clearly they see you and they have faith in you. So that's a great thing.
Well, maybe.
So
we're also really lucky in Canada to have our arts councils and grants that help that, and I always kind of was feeling a little bit bad about that a few years ago and kind of thinking about artist welfare. But the reality of the situation is that any money that comes in is going into the pockets of people that are working people. They're being spent on engineers and studios. And so no one's like getting, fat cat rich off this stuff. It's actually going back into the economy in a big, big way. So I kind of, I got over those hangups pretty quick when I actually started doing the math on it.
And when I think of things like grants and all that stuff that the government does put into artists, I think of it this way. We all need to work for the most part. If we're allowed to do what we love most, because, I know people who are tradesmen who love what they do and they don't play music and they have no inkling to even bother. So they go do their job. Now you're doing yours.
Sure.
Other artists are doing theirs. They're making a living. Beans on the table. Everybody's happy. Kids are smiling. Everybody's going to school. It's beautiful.
Yeah. When I think, when I do the math on how much of that grant money I've put into, small town gas stations or mechanics, over the years. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, no doubt.
And, the guilt factor washes away pretty quick when you actually start to do the math on it.
Absolutely. So let's quickly ask you this. What's going on for the rest of 2018 and into the next year?
Yeah. Well, I'm off for another few more days, and then I fly out east for some shows in Ontario and Quebec and New York State. And then we're back in Alberta for a handful of shows. We've been doing this tour called the Campfire Diaries Tour,
right?
Which is mainly an unplugged acoustic tour, full band, but it's kind of in between stories of songs and touring stories. We'll do the stripped down versions of these songs, and that's been going really, really great. It's been a real blast to do that. So we've got a handful of those shows left in the year, and I think that's going to about wind down the Love Versus touring. And then I go out every November. I go out with Barney Bental's Caribou Express.
Fantastic.
So I'll be doing that. Yeah, I'll be doing that in November. I've been doing that for over 10 years.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of fun, and then I think I'll take most of the winter and spring off. To be honest, because like I said, I've been touring so hard for the last little while here that I need to take a bit of a break.
Absolutely, as you should. Well, you know what? We're going to wind this down. I want to thank you so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate you being a new friend to the show. And
my pleasure.
Yeah, man. And I definitely want to get you back on here again. The conversation between us both has been absolutely fantastic. www.leeroystagger.com. Stagger, Staggerleeroy, Leeroy. Go to his website, folks. Buy some of his records. They're absolutely fantastic. I've been listening all week. I'm a little choosy with my show, and that's a testament to Leeroy. So thanks again, my friend, and we'll talk to you all soon. And enjoy the rest of this summer. Goodbye for now.
Thanks, Thomas.
All right, folks, I want to thank again Breakout West for being a supporter of our show and us being a supporter of them. It's going to be a fantastic thing out in Kelowna, I do believe. That's where we're keeping that this year, are we not? I hope to make it out myself. And again, I want to thank all the listeners for tuning in every week. We seem to have a couple more, if not more than that. And it's fantastic to keep this show going because we're all independent. We all enjoy doing it. And we all love the fact that you love listening. Take care, folks. Thomas Greco out.